Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Look here, y'all. I don't know if you know what a Dear John letter is, but that's what I'm going to be talking about in this episode, man. When you get that Dear John letter. Dear John letter is a letter from that girl that you love. And if you're in the women's prison, you get a letter from the guy that you love or the partner that you love telling you that it's over, that they can't do it anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to share with you what it was like for the one young man. He come talk to me about his experience with, you know what I'm saying, getting that Dear John letter telling him that it was over with, you know what I'm saying, while he was in here, right? So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, y'all. And check this out, y'all. This is one of those episodes that'll make you scratch your head and make you say, I don't know if I'd have done that. But here it is, y'all. There was this one young dude, man, that he didn't have a lot of time left either. He was headed home within a few months, believe it or not. And his girl, he's actually at an annex too. An annex is not the main prison compound. It's where people that are labeled trustees get to stay. So he was at the annex when he got his Dear John letter, you know. And when he got the Dear John letter, he read it. He said he sat there and he started shaking because she told him that she couldn't wait no more. Now, he's got a few months before he goes home. It's over with. But now, all of a sudden, she's saying she can't wait anymore. She's tired of being alone at night and that it's over with. And she didn't want to hear from him. She didn't want anything to do with it. So he couldn't help himself. He couldn't help himself. He got on the phone and he called her. And he just kept calling back to back. She wasn't answering. He kept calling over and over and over. He said he called 20 or 30 times. And she finally picked it up. And when she picked it up, she said, "What do you want? What do you want? Why you keep calling me? Didn't you get my letter?" And he's talking in a real somber voice. "Yeah, I got your letter." She said, "Well, can't you understand what I'm saying then? Don't you get it? I'm done. We're done." But he kept saying, "Why? Why? I got less than 3 months before I'm home, and then we can start our life together out there." And she said, "I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. I can't stand being alone anymore. I've been riding with you all of these years. And now you're about to come home. I just can't take it anymore. What is it that you can't take? Tell me what I've done and I'll make it right. Tell me what I've done." And she kept telling him, you know what you've done. But he couldn't understand what was really going on. Now keep in mind, he's on the phone in the pod. And even though it's an annex, it's an open squad bay, right? Where there's no cells, everybody sleeps in the bay. So you really don't have any privacy. So people can hear him on the phone talking. So they're looking over there at him and whatnot, and he's got his head down, and he's crying. Tears are rolling. Now people looking over there at him. He's not looking up at them, but he knows they're watching. That's what he told me. He know they was watching. Now, she's on the other end, and he could hear somebody else in the house. So he says, "Who is that? Who's in there?" And she said, "That ain't none of your business. That ain't none of your business. And don't call her anymore." About that time, somebody grabbed the phone. Said, "Hello?" He said, "Who is this?" He said, "Who is this?" So there was a silence there for a second. And then dude said, "Don't call over here no more. She with me." So the young dude in the penitentiary, he was like, "Who are you?" He knew that voice, but he just couldn't peg it. He didn't know who it was, but he said it sounded familiar to him. So he hung the phone up on the young dude. He calls back. She picks up the phone yelling, "Stop calling here. I'm going to call the warden. Stop calling here." He don't care. He done zoned out. He can't stop because that voice sounded familiar to him. He's got to know who it is. Now keep in mind, when you're at an annex, y'all, Ain't no fence. Ain't no fence. It's like one fence, but you can get over that fence. Most of them. And he's in the prison that he's at. He's like walking distance. Well, it's not walking distance, but if he was in a car, he could get there in 10 or 20 minutes. Walking is going to be a little longer than that. You know what I'm saying? But he lives in the area. That's what I'm saying. He lived in this area. So guess what he does, y'all? He can't take it. After they come around and count, that last count, he makes his move. Sneaks out the building. Now he knows the next time that they're going to count is like 2 hours. He don't care. So he fix a fake body in the bed. You know, he stuff up the mattress. You know what I'm saying? He gets some extra blankets. So he makes it look like somebody's in the bunk. But he's not. He get on down. He gone. He trying to find a way to get there. Now, when they're at the annex, they had, back then anyway, back then, not now, but back then, they had different clothes. So he got his sweats on. Ain't no prison number on it or nothing like that. So he's walking, he hitchhiking. Somebody stopped. They got him. He said, where you going? He told them the street he was going to. They drop him off. He's on the street where her house is, her apartment is. So he creeping. He walking down there. And he sees the car. He recognizes the car. It's like, dang. It's been some years. But this car looks like a friend of his. It's older, it's dirty, but it looks familiar. So he creeps up. And now she's on the bottom level. That's what he said. So he sneaks up to the window. He's looking in the window. He sees her on the couch with some dude. But the dude, his back is torn. She's sitting on the couch. She got her legs up on the couch, just sitting there laughing and just a giggling. They kissing, all this and that. He's looking at him. He see what's going on. He can't take it no more. He runs to the door. Boom, 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 boom. Knocking on the door. Open the door. Open the door. She snatched the door open. She said, what are you doing here? He pushes his way in. It's his childhood friend. He's sitting on the couch. Now keep in mind, ain't now one of them thugs like that, right? He in the penitentiary for some minor stuff. You know what I'm saying? Nothing major. You know what I'm saying? Had a little 3 to 5 year sentence. That's all it was. That's all it was. Nothing major. So he puts his way in, and then him and his friend, they get to argue. She got the phone in her hand. She hit 911. He snatched the phone out of her hand. Boom. Smack her. His friend pop him. Knock him down. Now all of a sudden, they wrestling on the floor. The only thing on his mind and coming out of his mouth, why you do this to me? Why you do this? He's fighting this dude, but he talking to her. Talking to her. Now she's standing there crying because she sees she done made a mess out of this situation. Not because she decided to move on with her life. Ain't nothing wrong with that. She got every right to do that. It's just that the person that she was with, when he heard that voice, she realized it set him off. Now, he had escaped prison. Now, when you leave an annex, y'all, it's a penalty for that. You sign papers to that fact when you agree to go out there as a trustee. And back then, they let you know. If you leave, that's 5 more years to your sentence. 5 more years to your sentence. That's if you don't commit any other crimes. Right? So when she called 911 and he knocked the phone out of her hand, she just standing there. She don't know what to do. So she tell them, stop, y'all stop. They stop fighting. They're standing there looking at each other, breathing heavy. Why you do this to me? I love you. You know I love you. I ain't got but 3 months, I'll be home. She said, not now. She said, you done escaped prison. Then it dawned on me. Oh, Lord. I done left the penitentiary. They got to be looking for him now. He look at the watch. He look at the clock on the wall. It's 1 a.m. Oh, Lord, they counted 12. They know he's missing by now, unless they fell for the okie doke. Guess what he do? Take me back. Take me back to the prison. She looking at him. She still love this fool. She said, come on, get in the car. She get him in the car. They drive back to the prison. When they get back to the annex, lights on everywhere. Lights on there. They hear dogs and everything. Now, she had pulled up in a way to where she wasn't on state grounds, but they could see what was going on in the distance. So this fool decides, I'm going to sneak back in. And they won't even know I was missing. That's how stupid he was. Now, sometimes, again, stupid is funny. And this is one of those situations where, keep in mind, ain't nobody got hurt physically. He didn't commit any other crimes. He just let his heart get in the way. This stupid here was funny. This fool climbs back over the fence. Now, you got the lights just flashing, crisscrossing and everything. It's not a helicopter, but they had the lights that be on the top of the towers, and they move them around, right? So they crisscrossing these lights. I guess that's a tactic that they use so that they can catch something moving at different angles, right? So guess what? The lights crisscross, they see him on the fence, and all of a sudden, just like he was on the Broadway stage, both of the lights hit him at the same time. Boom! This fool is climbing down on the side of the fence, on the inside of the penitentiary. While he still on the fence, before he hit the ground, he turned around and looked. He's still on the fence. All of a sudden you hear dogs running over there towards him. And you hear the police telling him, get out on the ground, get out on the ground. He lays down on the ground. They said, what are you thinking? What were you doing? He said, I wasn't doing nothing. Look at the police snatched him up so fast, put them handcuffs on him, and then, they had the warden there, because anytime it's an escape, they'll call the warden, all the top dogs, they come back to the facility. Most of the time, they don't live too far away, so they can get back pretty quick. So the warden looks at him, said, where you been? I ain't been nowhere, warden. I ain't been nowhere. I ain't done nothing. The warden looked at him and said, take him to the hole. Oh, so wait a minute. Going to the hole, that means he going back to the compound. Trustee is over with. He get back to the compound, he in the hole in the back. They come back there talking to him. Everybody's trying to talk to him and figure out what happened. But Internal Affairs, they had pulled the phone records. They see he done called this gal 30, 40 times. And the 2 times that he did talk, 3 times that he did talk, they wasn't long conversations. They record everything, y'all. They record everything. They listen to everything that he said and she said. They knew what had happened. Now they were asking him, what were you thinking? This is what he said, y'all. I don't know. That's how them young people are. I don't know. You had 3 months and you would have been home able to do whatever you wanted to do, but you couldn't handle what was going on with your girl, your ex-girl. So you had to go home to see. And then you had the audacity to come back to the penitentiary. You know what they did to him. You know what they did to him, y'all. Hit him with that 5. Hit him with that 5. He didn't even have a defense. He didn't have a defense. You can't. The stupidity is not a defense. Love is not a defense. But this is why I wanted to tell this episode. This is why I wanted to tell this story. Because a lot of times, man, when you're dealing with somebody in prison, and let's say it's over. Let's say that you don't know how to get out of it. Just tell them. Just tell them. Because it's going to hurt either way. It's going to hurt either way. And sometimes when you tell them, you got to let them know that there's nothing that they can do to get you back. That you've moved on with your life. It's kind of like you got to really rip the Band-Aid off. Now, keep in mind, she did write him a Dear John letter. She wrote him a letter and told him. But he couldn't take it. And I'm not saying she should have stayed on the phone with him. But when something like that happens, on our side of the fence, we feel lost, especially if we were not doing anything to deserve it. Meaning, other than not being there, he's doing whatever he's supposed to do. He's not talking to any other women, not doing anything wrong. He's being supportive of his girl and all this and that. What else can you do? So we have these problems trying to deal with, what did I do? Is it anything that I can do to salvage this? And a lot of times it's not. So we're looking for some closure. We need a reason other than I can't take it no more. Especially when he was that close. And he couldn't imagine what that would be. And he felt like if she just saw him, that would be enough to change her mind. But it wouldn't. She had moved on, had been moved on. So when you find yourself in a situation like that, ladies, gentlemen, and you don't want to continue the relationship, sometimes it's just best to rip the Band-Aid off and tell them. So they can go through the processes. And keep in mind that sometimes they'll continue to call back. Let them. What is it going to hurt? What is it going to hurt? Because they're in a vulnerable position. We're in a vulnerable position. And we're looking for closure. And yeah, we're going to say things to try to get you back and all of these other types of things. But let them down. You know what I'm saying? After you tell them, ease them into it. Tell them you're going to be their friend, something. But keep in mind what it's going to be like for that person on this side of the fence when you just do it like that. It's hard to deal with. Hard to deal with. I'm not saying that you have to do that. I'm just saying that sometimes it'll make it better and the person on this side won't make it worse. Just something to think about. Maybe you say, I don't know him anything. Let him do what he do. It ain't on me. Do that. Maybe that'll work for you. But in this situation, that wouldn't have worked. He heard that voice and he shot off. And now he had to do 5 more years. He's out now. And he's moved on. But it cost him 5 more years. 5 more years. Because he couldn't deal with what was going on. Just saying, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.